I'm Riley Chow here with Joyce Ang, Luca Giliberti, and Charlie Bright, and we're here to talk about the BAFTA nominations that are upcoming. BAFTA is very different this year. Luca, how so?
How they're different. So a lot of things are different this year. So in the past years, there has been a lot of backlash because of the number of white nominees and the lack of POC nominees. So last year they had a bit of an investigation into the whole process and made a number of changes to make the process make the process more inclusive, or to bring about more inclusive nominees. And one of the things they've done is they've created juries again that have decided or that compile a long list of about, is it 15 in every category? I'm not sure.
It's usually 15, but it does vary a bit.
Exactly.
Each category kind of has different rules.
Right. And the reason for these long lists is that they can actually focus on the performances and on the films. They're trying to avoid having these big campaigns influence the voting process. So what they're trying to do is limit the number of movies that these voters have to watch, but they actually wanted to put it in front of a jury. And these juries are actually very small. I believe, Riley, you mentioned 7 to 12 people. And the main point, again, is to have more inclusive nominees and also to have more British nominees, to have more multicultural British nominees represented here. So these nominations are going to be completely different compared to these past years, and they might not match with the Oscar nominations. So it'll be an interesting year.
Yeah, it's tricky because we at Gold Derby have a different agenda than all these awards-giving bodies. We want to predict the Oscars, right? And BAFTA, years ago, I think around the year 2000, they decided that, yeah, they'll play along with the game. They'll join the Derby. They'll award before the Oscars. They'll kind of ignore all their own people in favor of the bigger Oscar contenders. But now they've realized that things have gone too far, and they're trying to get back to their roots of recognizing quality. So they have very complicated systems set up now, which will be of almost no help to us in terms of predicting the Oscars, I think. Joyce, what do you have to say?
Well, the other big change is that for the acting categories, and they are going to have 6 nominations. So if you're predicting any of the Oscar contenders, like one of them will not make it into the Oscars if you're predicting, them here at the BAFTAs. And yeah, I don't think you can really use this as a rubric this year. Nominations wise, I don't think you can use it for your Oscar predictions. Win wise will be a different story. Because also the nominations for BAFTA are coming out Tuesday, a day before Oscar voting closes. So you would just assume that most Oscar voters will have voted already between Friday, March 5th and Wednesday, March 10th. So I don't think you can really use the BAFTA nominations to help you with your Oscar nomination predictions.
Yeah, there's not really enough time like the Golden Globes to move something to the top of the watch list. Charlie, how are you approaching your predictions this year?
I'm just trying to keep it up in mind and just think, maybe what are some wild cards. But with this new jury system, now I'm even considering dropping some other things from my lineup. For instance, Glenn Close. I all of a sudden feel very nervous about her potential getting in. I mean, 6 nominees definitely helps, but if she weren't to get in, could this help someone like Maria Bakalova or Jodie Foster secure a spot in here, and possibly give them that maybe last minute momentum heading into the next day's Oscar nominations?
Yeah, I'm not considering Glenn Close at all for these. I'm going to go into the jury process a little. So now the jury process only applies to certain categories, mainly directing, casting, and the 4 acting categories. And each category has a different jury. Each jury is 7 to 12 people, and they're aiming for 50% BAFTA members and 50% non-members. But that is actually a secondary goal to just general diversity. They want people of all genders and ethnicities and, disabilities and what have you. So they want to really diversify these juries and keep them small. And then the juries are going to meet for a final meeting after they've all individually gone off and watched all the films in their long lists. And then they're going to have a meeting where they're going to kind of, I guess, tell each other how to vote. But ultimately, at the end of the meeting, they'll conduct, a secret ballot, which will be ranked. So it's just an entirely different process than last year. Last year, in the acting categories, voting was open to the entirety of BAFTA, and they were unranked. So you go from thousands of voters casting unranked ballots. Now we have 7 to 12, possibly more than half of which are not even BAFTA members. So I guess they, pulled them in off the street or something. It says it's a mix of experts and also emerging filmmakers. So I don't know where they're pulling these people from. And they say that they're not allowed to reveal themselves until, I believe, the actual ceremony, just so that they're not, lobbied.
You do it on the show live.
Yeah, they'll just spring them out. Yeah, so entirely different nomination process. The long list that we have, they're generally the top 12 from the popular vote, supplemented with 3 other people that were saved by a committee. So, I suspect that Minati was actually saved by the committees a few times, because Minati didn't even make the top 15 for best film. So it seems really unpopular with BAFTA, but it did make it into directing and then 3 of the acting categories. No Yeri Han, because I guess, they could only save so many of them. Yeah, any thoughts about Minati, Joyce?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, what? I think you're about to say something.
Oh, no, I was just saying Yeri Han is getting paid dust this season because no one's nominating her anywhere.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think the Spirits moved her to supporting.
Yeah, she's usually there and supporting, which, yeah, really helps her a lot.
Yeah. What else? The directing category actually has a long list of 20 people. And what they did was they took the top 8 directors who are male and the top 8 directors who are female, and then they sprinkled in 2 male committee saves, 2 female committee saves. So yeah, all these juries have a mandate also to really diversify the nominations, because BAFTA, has kind of been racist by default, I think. So instead of waiting for people to call them out, they realized, they had already gotten away with it for too long, so they made the changes themselves. A few years ago, there's that huge Oscars so white backlash, whereas for the BAFTAs, that's just kind of every year. So, if you get a whole slate of white nominees at BAFTAs, there's nothing unusual about that. So I think maybe that's why there were never any alarms sounded. Okay, let's move over to our best film predictions, because that category is actually pretty much the same as it's always been. It's just going to be a popular vote of the entire BAFTA membership. So Charlie, what do you have as your top 5 there?
As of right now, I have Nomadland, Trial of the Chicago 7, The Father, Mank, and Another Round as my predictions for that. I'm considering dropping Mank, though, possibly in favor of Promising Young Woman.
Okay, yeah, Mank, I'm just not sure how many number 1 votes it's going to pick up. The BAFTAs are not counting number 1s first, they're just using a point system. So, I think first place gets 5 points, and then if you rank something second, it gets, 4 points and so forth. Luca, what do you have in best film?
Yeah, so I also have Nomadland, obviously. I have The Trial of the Chicago 7. I have The Father. I do have Promising Young Woman because it showed up on so many long lists. I can't imagine it not making it into this category. And right now, for the 5th spot, I've put so many different movies in this 5th spot, but I landed on One Night in Miami for now, even though, as you said, BAFTA's had a history of not recognizing movies starring people of color, especially Black people. But it's different this year. We have these new guidelines. Obviously, it's not a jury voting in this category, but I just don't feel comfortable predicting a lineup with movies starring only white people. So that's what I have for now. But I think another round is absolutely possible. I also had the Mauritanian in at one point because it's a very European movie or has European sensibilities. And I think it got longlisted in 11 different categories. So it's definitely popular. So I would not be shocked to see that show up. I think there's so many possibilities for those last two spots because I could see Mank missing as well.
All right, Joyce, what commentary do you have?
This is the one category where I'm the most boring in. I think I have like the Consensus 5, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Chicago 7, The Father, and Mank. I do want to put another round in there. I don't know what I would drop, probably Mank. And I think if Menotti had made the long list, I would have been predicting it here somewhere, dropping something. But yeah, so I think this is the top 5 in the odds too, because everyone's just picking the Oscar contenders for this.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah, Mank, I just feel like it keeps getting in places like at the Australian equivalent, the ACTA Awards, or I think maybe the London Film Critics Awards, where it will lead the nominations, but it will miss Best Picture. So I have that kind of same thing happening here. I've got another round because it did sweep the European Film Awards, and it's on tons of these long lists, like editing, for example. In the craft categories and in the screenplay categories, we have all these long lists, but it's kind of just for what Luca was saying about to kind of give the voters some focus. There's not a separate jury system now that they've gotten these long lists. Up until I think 8 years ago, we had long lists, but it was a very different system because it was where I think the branch would narrow it down to a top 15, and then they'd get all of BAFTA to narrow it down to 5. So not the same as getting 7 to 12 random people to narrow it down. Joyce, are you more adventurous in your directing category?
I am, and this is another one of those categories that is expanding to 6. I have Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, The Father, Mank, Rocks, and Menotti.
Sorry, what was the last one?
Menotti.
Oh.
I don't have Chicago 7. I did have it in there initially, but I was just thinking, I don't know if Aaron Sorkin would survive the jury.
Yeah.
And then I feel like they would like really favor some of their homegrown films like Rocks. So I put that in there.
I mean, you'd hope so. It'd be a shame if we had this whole slugfest talking about how the nominees are going to be different, and then it's just the consensus in every category. Yeah. Luca?
Yeah, I almost have the same. I don't have Minari in. I have Saint Maud in its place because it was longlisted again so many times. I think it was nominated 11, longlisted 11 times. I don't know what the BAFTA's relation is with genre films, but I feel like this one does have, or seems to have, a lot of passion. And I also have Rocks because this movie did very well at the British Independent Film Awards. Again, that's the sort of the only bellwether we kind of have for some of these British films, but that one did very well there. So I feel like it'll do well here as well with the jury system in place. But again, I also took out Aaron Sorkin for Trial of the Chicago 7. I don't think he'll survive the jury system. So my top 4, I forgot to mention, are Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, The Father, and Mank, and then the 2 British films I mentioned.
Yeah, you mentioned the British Independent Film Awards, and that's kind of what one of the things that I'm basing my predictions off. I also look at the London Film Critics, and then I look at the Australian equivalent that I mentioned, the ACTA Awards, to see what they kind of nominated. And I'm trying to kind of put them all together. But the one that I'm actually taking out is Saint Maud because, yeah, I don't know about these horror movies competing just in general with awards. They're always kind of divisive. And then, yeah, I felt like it kind of underperformed at the Independent Film Awards. But yeah, the lead of that one is actually why I pulled Charlie into this chat, because I thought this guy's paying attention. So Charlie, I'm wondering if you still have that actress in your predictions and what you think about its chances in directing.
I do still have her in my predictions for lead actress. In directing, I don't have it there, but I do have some more slightly outsider picks. I do have Nomadland, The Father, Mank, and I just took out Chicago 7, put in Promising Young Woman. But then I have two wild cards that I don't have getting into Best Picture, Best Film, getting nominations here. One is Minari for Lee Isaac Chung, and the other one is actually News of the World. Paul Greengrass is a very well liked director there. I believe he's Irish, correct? Or is he just British? I don't know. He's from there. He's from there. That's
yeah.
I think he's English.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is definitely a hometown favorite there, and I think even he got in for Captain Phillips several years ago. So I would, and I think this would be a place where News of the World would come through.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like they loved Bridge of Spies, and I feel like it's that kind of vibe of a movie. So for the acting categories, I don't want to just go through category by category, but first of all, is anyone predicting like a major snub of somebody that we've been seeing nominated everywhere?
I mean, we already talked about Glenn Close.
Yeah.
But I don't have her. Sorry, Glenn.
Me neither. I don't think she'll make it through this jury system or this. Again, Hillbilly Elegy, I just don't think is a movie that would play well with. I don't want to say won't play well with Europeans, but as someone who lives in Europe, it's such an American movie, and obviously it received very bad reviews, and I just can't imagine them looking past the quality of the movie, even though Glenn's performance is still good enough. But I just don't see her making the cut here.
Yeah, I think all
like the usual like popular vote, she would make it in.
Yes.
But with the jury, it's like my logic with Aaron Sorkin. I don't think both of them would survive that.
Yeah, I think I'll go a bit further, and I'll say Glenn Close is done. I've had it. She's out of my Oscar prediction. She's not in my BAFTA predictions.
She knows what she did.
Yeah. She picked up her Critics' Choice, Golden Globe nominations, and SAG, I guess, and that's as far as it goes, people. I wonder about Gary Oldman, because he is not, somebody who needs a boost. I can see him not getting #1 votes, and when they're having their deliberations, like he's been awarded. He's not, a fresh voice. He's not a minority. He's going to do kind of nothing to help the BAFTAs achieve their new agenda.
And Mank feels like it's been underperforming in a lot of places, so it would make sense that he could get left out.
Yeah. I still have him in 6 just because I figure, they love him. They awarded him a couple of years ago, but I don't know.
I think people who do not have Tahar Rahim in that category need to reconsider their predictions. I think he's in 7th place in our odds. I'm not sure. He's either in 6th or 7th. I think
he's in 7th right now.
He's in 7th. I think he definitely needs to be in people's predictions.
I mean, I have him and Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes,
getting in.
That category, it's very hard to predict, which is why I think Gary Oldman could definitely miss. Yeah.
Actually, speaking, if we're staying on actor here, one person who this jury system could really help is actually Delroy Lindo, I'm thinking. The Five Bloods did get shortlisted in several categories, not in director, though, which was very weird for to have Spike Lee miss out on that. But Delroy's chances have hit a fairly huge speed bump over the past couple of weeks, with not getting in at the Golden Globes or at SAG. But if you have this small group of people that are supposed to be evaluating these performances, even when you were reading reviews from people who did not care for the Five Bloods, they were very taken by Lindo's performance. And the fact that you combine that with the fact that he has a theater background and he was born in London, I think could definitely play in his favor and give him a much needed boost.
Yeah, I just have no idea what to think of these juries. I mean, we had the, Emmy juries back in the day, and they always just went for, the most over the top, most obvious acting. So if it was in a comedy category, they always went for slapstick. If it was in a drama category, they went for, tears. And then like the BAFTA TV awards, they always use this jury system. And what they tend to do is if you get too famous, then they'll start snubbing you. Like Olivia Colman did extremely well at their awards for years, and then she won an Oscar, and they said goodbye. You're never coming back. Uh, and then, like the Night Manager, for example, also with Olivia Colman, that one won its 3 Golden Globes. So what did BAFTA do? They nominated the other guy, and they snubbed the 3 Golden Globe winning performances. So I don't know if these film juries are going to take the same approach where they're trying to give people, a boost who they feel need one. And then again, this jury composition is just entirely different. I mean, last year we actually did have a jury for casting the new casting award at BAFTA, but I imagine it was just kind of 7 to 12, white retirees, as opposed to this diverse mix that we're supposed to be getting this year.
Yeah, and the other thing is like whatever happens in one category, you can't apply that same logic or reasoning to another. Like, you just don't know. Like, it will be, if they maintain this system ongoing, it'll be a couple years before we can really figure out like what type of performances or films they really go for, besides just, knowing they have like some European sensibilities in them. Like, you just, when it's juries and 7 to 12 people, you just don't know what people like.
I wonder about Adarskarov for Best Actor, because The White Tiger actually did make the long list for Best Film, and he was nominated at ACTA. Yeah, he's very possible.
I think he's definitely possible, and I would also watch out for Kingsley Ben-Adir. He did get the Rising Star nomination, and sometimes if you're nominated for Rising Star, you don't get into the acting categories. Again, he's British, obviously, so he could make it in. I don't know how One Night in Miami will play with them. As I said, I have it in picture, but I don't feel confident about that prediction at all. So he's someone else I would look out for. But you're right. The White Tiger performed very well. I believe it has 7 long list mentions. So it'll definitely show up somewhere, I believe.
I have that in adapted screenplay.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, so I think in Best Actor we're saying it's not going to be Tom Hanks, and it's not going to be John David Washington for Malcolm and Marie.
Are we just crossing people off the long list?
I think watch out for the other 13, but
Exactly.
What about in Best Supporting Actor? That's a category where I think I'm predicting just the consensus 6, because I feel like the field is actually not that deep.
No, it's not.
It's kind of filled out with a bunch of people from the trial of the Chicago 7. No Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, obviously, because BAFTA. And then we've got David Strathairn, Clark Peters, kind of more people that I wouldn't expect to necessarily get a boost from a jury system.
Yeah, I'm confused as to which trial of the Chicago 7 actors get in here, because do we all think Sacha Baron Cohen is actually safe? Or do we think he could? Yeah, I mean, I do have him in, and who's the second actor? I currently have Mark Rylance.
Yeah, I think that's your default.
Yeah.
Second Chicago guy.
Yeah, I have Rylance as well.
Yeah.
Though I would keep an eye out for Frank Langella, though.
Yeah. And then do we think Paul Raci, this is where he really gets in, his second nomination after Critics' Choice? Or
yeah, I can't imagine at their deliberations they're not going to bring up like, hey, this is going to look really bad if we say that we're trying to, get people of, all capabilities, and then not nominate him.
And again, this is just like, this is one of those, there's another one of those types of performances that, a jury system, especially of such a few amount of people, would ideally really help. And, that's another one of those things where, I find myself reevaluating some of these people I have in predictions, And I all of a sudden feel like the idea of him actually making it in is a much more real possibility.
Yeah, this is like the opposite of Glenn, where I think he's helped by the jury. It's like they're forced to watch it and take in the performance, and it's a very subtle performance. So I hope Dick picked him at the Globes and SAGs, and he didn't get in there, but I feel better about this than I do about those other shows.
Yeah, I actually I put him in. I took out Chadwick Boseman for Defy Bloods and put Paul Raci in.
Who do you have not from the consensus 6 then?
Oh, right now I have Bo Burnham
Okay.
in there for Promising Young Woman. I don't know. It just feels like something that could happen as I look down this list of other people. Yeah, I just feel like that's what if they really do embrace this film, like I think they might. He could very easily go along for the ride, and he's another one of those performances that I think a lot of people really liked, but is just if you had just that straight popular vote, he wouldn't really get anywhere. But this jury system really helps him out.
I would also look out for Barry Keoghan for Calm with Horses, because because he did get a British Independent Film Award nomination. Again, it's what I'm basing many of my predictions off of.
And a former Rising Star nominee.
Exactly. So I would watch out for him. He could definitely sneak in.
And yeah, you have to imagine that he was one of the 3 committee saves. So I could see them saving him again.
Right.
Okay, over in supporting actress, I just added Jodie Foster for The Mauritanian because it seems like there's more passion for that performance than I realized. But I do feel like she is somebody like Gary Oldman, who could get left off just because, it's Jodie Foster. She's got her Oscars. She doesn't really need this to add to her resume.
Yeah, I put her in too. I guess it just kind of depends on how much they like The Mauritanian, and based on its 11 long list mentions, I'm just assuming they will. And also, like, nomination voting closed the day after the Globes, so I don't think the Globes results will impact this very much, nominations. But I can see her getting in. But if she doesn't get in, I would not be shocked.
Yeah, I think of all categories, I find this one the most difficult one to predict. There's so many people who could get nominated. It was very easy for me to leave off Glenn Close and Maria Bakalova. I don't think she will get in for Borat. I think that's a movie she could get in on the strength of her performance, obviously, but I don't think that humor is going to play well with Europeans. I just don't see that landing.
Did it not land with you, Luca?
Well, I'm not entirely European, so I just don't see that happening. And I know a lot of people want it to happen, but I find this category very hard to predict. Who I would watch out for is Kosar Ali for Rocks, because she received not one but 2 BIFA nominations. And again, Rocks is very popular. It was longlisted in several categories. I think she can definitely make it in.
Yeah, like I'm trying to get through all of our Oscar movies, and suddenly we have all these, BAFTA movies that are, big players here. So I haven't seen Rocks. I've heard that her performance is quite subtle, so that's why I don't have her in at this point. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I to pile on there. I actually think that this jury system actually does help Maria Bakalova. I do think that because I think they might have a more fond view of this because it's humor that originated from Britain. I mean, it's just a factor that I think could help, and also the fact that Maria Bakalova is Bulgarian, European, and they do like awarding European performers. And I think her entrance into the cultural conversation was so jarring in terms of like how it just sort of like came out of nowhere. And so I do have her there. She is, though I will admit, she is in my fifth slot. I did put in Kosar Ali for Rocks. I did after I took out Glenn Close. But oh god, if she gets nominated, I'm gonna be pissed at all of you.
We didn't tell you to take her out, okay?
I felt the judgment. But yeah, I mean, I kind of want to like also possibly like Helena Zengel. I'm possibly like thinking possibly like who would I take out for that, but I can't quite figure that one out.
I have both Maria and Helena in, so I could be screwed. But I think like Maria, even though, you know, that's not your typical like awards fair type of movie, like that is a performance that inspires passion, I think. And I could see some people in the jury really liking it. And I actually took out Amanda Seyfried, not just because she lost the Globe, but again, what we've been saying about May, but I think like that performance is sort of the opposite of Maria's, where I don't know if you're just as excited or as passionate about that as you are about like Maria's performance. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's one that would survive in a jury vote.
Yeah, I think Amanda Seyfried is in the same boat as Glenn Close for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have. Should I? Oh, you can go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to mention one last person. The person I actually have in sixth is another Brit, Ashley Madekwe for County Line. She's actually last in our odds, but
that's why
she was exactly no. She was nominated at the British Independent Film Awards again. I mentioned them throughout. We have no idea what this jury is going to vote for. So the fact that she does have a nomination for this performance at least has me considering her at all, because this category is just a big, WTF. No one really knows what to do here.
Yeah, we'll have to watch all these films before the Prediction Center closes. We're not going to offer any help with screenplay, casting, and animated feature, which are also.
Are we talking about Best Actress?
No, we're going to close with that one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Charlie, what do you have to say about Best Actress?
Let's see. I have consensus top four of Mulligan, McDormand, Davis, and Kirby. I do also have Morfydd Clark. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Yes.
I don't know how to do Welsh, so I'm just thinking that they might see that name and they're like, oh, there's someone from Wales, and then just put her in there. And then I have also Jessie Buckley for I'm Thinking of Ending Things in there as well.
She should win.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see like Kate Winslet on here, and I'm just thinking to myself that's not happening. And I don't know. It just feels like that would be like this might be one of those categories where even when they try to do the whole like push for diversity thing, they only end up getting one person of color in there as a nominee. So that's how I feel like that's shaking out. I will just say I loved that Alfred Woodard made the shortlist for Clemency, the best performance of last year, or of 2 years ago, I guess. And if she gets nominated here, that would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be great. I've got Wami Mosaku over Saint-Maud, just because I think that one is not so genre. They're both horror films, but this one is about people who have immigrated to Britain and faced hardships along the way. And then there's the genre twist. And then I also have who do I have? I have Bucky Backrae for Rocks, which seems more like a traditional drama that'll kind of play well with any audience.
I have those two too, and I'm assuming you have the consensus top four.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little sketchy on Vanessa Kirby, but she is British, and like it is a Beatty performance.
Yeah, it's also it's a very European movie. I've seen a lot of people doubting Vanessa Kirby, but I think she'll definitely make it in here. I was a bit worried about Viola Davis just because of her screen time. And the fact that this is a lead category, but in the end, I don't.
They nominated her for Widows.
Exactly, it's true. So I don't really have her missing, and I have the same two as that you both just mentioned. And also, I believe his house has like a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score, and Wumi Masaku also won the British Independent Film Award in her category for this performance. So again, that's another precursor, I guess, that gives me some confidence in this prediction. And for Morfydd Clark, again, she was nominated for the Rising Star Award, I believe, and maybe that's all they give her. So I'm not sure whether that influences their picks here or not.
I wonder a little about Frances McDormand. You know, she's won before, and it's a quiet performance.
It is, but she's also the entire movie, practically. I mean, if they're going to nominate, Chloe Zhao is also seen as the face of the movie, but Frances McDormand, she's almost in every frame of it. I'd find it hard to believe.
I'm not like unsure on her as I am about like Gary Oldman.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much, guys. Good luck.